James Kaufman, World News Report today. In one of my previous videos, I showed you how one elderly care company owned by Somalians had bought 440 some odd homes and were actually billing the U.S. government for elderly care. Usually, elderly care, allots about $3,000 to $4,000 a month for elderlies to be taken care of. But what they're doing is there's nobody living in these homes. They're charging Medicaid, Medicare for elderly care in these 444 homes that they've purchased. Nobody's living there, and they're using the payments to pay the homes off, i.e. they're buying investment properties with Medicaid money. Well, we had an independent journalist, Nick Shirley, find a building in Minnesota with 14 different home health care companies. You would think that there's one on every block. There is. There's one on every block. And this whole building is filled with them. Well, they've been running this scam for a very long time, and they wouldn't even answer Nick about their rates because they're not legitimate businesses. Instead, they called the cops, and the cops turned out to be bootleggers. And Nick, for asking the rates for healthcare, was kicked out of the building and trespassed. Now, trespass does not mean that he was arrested. It just means that he was given a warning not to return to the building. So they won't deal with Caucasians asking for prices. Instead, they call the police because, they know that everyone's on to this scam now. Thousands and thousands of Somalians are working in this particular scam. It's usually elderly care, but can also be child care. They've got them both working, all subsidized and paid for with taxpayers' money. No one but one company would actually even give him a rate because he's a Caucasian, and they would never deal with a Caucasian, right?
To give us a rate. However, when we left, we were then met with the police.
We received a complaint that gentlemen matching your description were in this building harassing the individuals who stay here.
Oh, we're checking out the rates for healthcare because there's 14 healthcare companies inside this building. So
okay.
Well, that's not what he said. He said there's 14 companies here, and he's trying to assume because they're Somali providers, everyone here is fraudulent.
Okay. So
he's here with some kind of like propaganda.
So
no, we're just checking.
No, this is a area that we're allowed to enforce trespassing ordinance. Is there any other reason that you guys are here?
Well, we were checking rates.
No, he's not.
We were checking rates. We asked for rates.
No, you're not.
Okay. I'm going to have, if you guys are all good, we're going to step outside and we can continue this conversation.
All right, let's leave. So, all right, we're getting escorted out right now. The police have arrived. We were checking out the rates, seeing what was happening inside this building. No one would really speak with us. We did go inside the one daycare center, and she actually did give us rates for childcare. Much respect to that lady. What's the problem, officer?
Well, so again, we've been getting reports from multiple individuals that you guys were harassing.
Bootlicker.
Individuals who work here. At the end of the day, this is private property, and it's one that people are allowed to ask you to leave, and it's also one the Minneapolis Police Department is allowed to enforce trespassing ordinance at this address.
Yeah.
So
as we got escorted out of this building, the Somalis filmed us as we left, and we headed over to the next building that had 22 of the same home health care providers.
The next building had 22 home health care providers in it. That one had 14 home health care providers. There's at least two, one elderly care and one daycare in every strip center in town. What's going on? Well, we all know exactly what's going on. These people are criminals gaming the system, and, they're after your tax dollars. And they've been doing this for years and years under Tim Waltz and other people's watch. Tim actually had a committee that was looking into the fraud, and they came up with so much fraud that he dismantled the committee. What a joke. Tim Waltz needs to be in prison along with all these Somalians running scams. They need to be audited if they're billing for services that are not being, given, which is the case at each one of them. Again, 14 in one building, 22 in another, and one on every corner. Just on this block, there's 36, 38, 40 home health care providers. It should be real easy to go in and audit these books of every one of them. It's always got to be some quote-unquote independent journalists that find all these things out. I taught you all about the homes they're buying with this money that sit empty while they're driving BMWs, Rolls Royces, etc. And now I've shown you the healthcare companies that are stacked up around all of Minnesota, like dominoes, because they need to be pushed over and start to fall. Please share, subscribe, and always remember, anything's possible in Bizarro World.